So, talking about the social economy, please, can we have Hind come to the stage?
Excellent. My mic.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause.
Hello.
So, hi. Good to see you. Good to see you. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, who you work for, and a little bit about what you're going to talk about today.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming after a really good meal and really nice lunch. Hope you enjoyed it. My name is Hind. Director by degree and collaborator by heart and communicator by nature. That's who I am. So I'm going to talk to you today basically my career was based or focused on communication and technology. I started off with a mobile company, Nokia, and I fell in love back then with the effect and impact of technology on our lives and the way we communicate and how devices are becoming part of our life, whether in workspace, whether when you're going out, whether you're giving a gift, so on and so forth. So that's one of the things that I focused on most of my career when it comes to opening or starting off public relations departments and communications, and then moving on to third-to-market telecom, and how youthful is the brand and how technology actually can make you even younger. And I believe everyone can sense that. That's one of the very interesting insights of a recent study that actually, technology de-ages you. It doesn't make you older. And I believe everyone feels that and sense that because of connectivity and the newity of how would you share your issues and problems with concerned people, and those concerned people can make it happen to you and can make you feel younger and always upbeat and always in real time. And we're going to talk a lot about real time and a lot about disruptive technology and how nowadays it's either you stay young and follow technology or make that mistake that everyone does. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting journey.
Excellent. And if an old man like me can use Snapchat and get away with it, then it's definitely making people younger. So the stage is all yours.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks a lot. I started off with this picture because, as I mentioned, I started off my career with technology or mobiles. And they say that life begins when you move. Life begins when you move is like when you get birth and the kid gets a kick on the back and start moving. I believe it's all about the movement of anyone's heartbeat, and believe that we eat, breathe, everything nowadays, technology and social media. If you disagree with me, raise up your hands. Okay, we have only Khalid. He always disagree with me, which is good. Now, when it comes to, next slide, please. Do you agree with the statement, the future is not what it used to be? Yes or no? I want to hear your voices. I know you just had lunch. Okay. It's actually true, because we used to see like the future back in the Star Trek days or the movie. We used to have like weird hats and very interesting tracks and all the above when it comes to funny imagination. No, the future is different. The future nowadays is something we cannot at all see or imagine, or we can at least just forecast. It's too hard. I mean, 2 minutes from now, I wouldn't be imagined to be on a picture on Huawei's Instagram because of a booth. A booth that's in a lobby where everyone passes, and a picture, and we're going to talk about the Kodak moment, is something that used to be so tangible, and we thought we used to have a Kodak moment. We used to have a moment where I cannot wait to have a picture. And nowadays, pictures are free, and it's a click of a button, and it's shareable. And we're going to also talk about what is the shareable economy. Why are we here today with a very interesting platform that was launched today with MBK, one of the banks that's sponsoring this conference, that actually brings SMEs business on a platform together. So it's because of collaboration. It's because they saw the future and they saw insights where if you put all those SMEs under one platform, their future is going to be different. They forecast the future for them. So would like just to stop here before I forget. I just wanted to do a quick thank you for the organizers and founders of this amazing conference, that not only it's amazing and engaging, they also had an application, a smart application, interactive for you to engage before, during, and after to make your life easier to share and to connect. So I want to give them a clap, please. So thank you, Fadi and Elma, my favorite couples. Can go to the second slide? So we are living actually in a digital disruptive phase of our lives. Digital disruption is our daily dilemma, I call it. It's 3 Ds, digital disruptive dilemma. Digital disruptive dilemma is actually what shapes creativity nowadays. If you don't disrupt creativity, if you don't come and say, hey, I'm a very snobby brand that cannot adapt to digital. I don't want to adapt to your platform and become all digitalized because millennials or youth want to actually have a free mobile or free picture in no time over a Nokia or a device or an iOS or a mobile. So if you don't disrupt nowadays, you won't make it and you won't survive. And survival is getting really hard and tough as we go, because the noise is going crazy, movements are coming from everywhere, people has voices, and they're having parties online with connected customers. Customers are connected like crazy 24/7. How many of you, with a show of hands, sleep with the mobile next to their beds? Up. You're crazy. Why? Because we have built this relation with the phone that it became one of the people or one of the family that lives with us, that if you lost a mobile, you will go plain. You will go, there are my contacts, there are my people, there are my communities, and I go through this every day. Like, people keep losing mobiles. I cannot blame them, they're distracted. We're living in a very distracted phase where you cannot focus on your own goals, on your next steps, unless you write a note. We end up with taking a picture of a note that we want to remember, an audio. So this is disruption, and this is what technology is like taking us. And I have a very interesting slide. You can go next. The Kodak moment. It says, let's pay respect to Eastman Kodak, which appears to be rapidly fading into black, the victim of its own arrogance and the forces of creative destruction raging in our digital age. Kodak business has gone. The reason why they disagreed to capitalize or cannibalize their business when they saw this emerging digital mobile photo taking, and they decided to stay still. So they're not there with us nowadays, sadly. We don't have any more Kodak moment, but that takes us to what I'm talking about right now, that creative destruction is an old economic methodology. If you cannot break it and destruct that part of business, or let's say major, or domain in general with a creative direction or a movement that the millennials is embracing, you'll be left out. And what's interesting that technology changes, but we don't change. And in order to adapt, you need to embrace and to have a different mindset and move on with technology. So, next please. I want to take you back to one of the most interesting, don't click on it, we have a click on that, most interesting shapers, I call him, of this day and age. I'm sure you know this guy. You know this guy? This is Jobs' vision. When I was searching for this keynote, he had a vision back in '83, talking about what we're doing right now and what we're going through. Please, Alma, let's quickly listen to what he has to say. It's a cassette recorded.
The reason Apple exists is because we stumbled on to fractional horsepower computing 5 years before anybody else. That's the reason we exist. We took these microprocessor chips, which is sort of a computer on a chip, and we surrounded it with all the other stuff you need to interact with a computer. And we made a computer that was about 13 pounds. And people would look at it and they'd say, well, where's the computer? This is just a terminal. We'd say, no, that is the computer. And after about 5 minutes of repeating this, finally a light bulb would go on in their minds. And they'd decide if they didn't like it, they could throw it out the window or run over it with their car. But that this was the entire computer. That's why we exist, fractional horsepower computing. This fractional horsepower computing has created a revolution. It was invented in 1976, the first personal computer. This year, in 1983, the industry is going to ship over 3 million of the little buggers. 3 million. By 1986, we're going to ship more computers than automobiles in this country. Now, let me digress for a minute. One of the reasons I'm here is because I need your help. If you've looked at computers, they look like garbage. All the great product designers are off designing automobiles, or they're off designing buildings. But hardly any of them are designing computers. And if we take a look, we're going to sell those 3 million computers this year. We're going to sell those 10 million computers in '86, whether they look like a piece of shit or they look great. It doesn't really matter because people are going to just suck this stuff up so fast that they're going to do it no matter what it looks like. And it doesn't cost any more money to make it look great. There are going to be these objects, this new object that's going to be in everyone's working environment, and it's going to be in everyone's educational environment, and it's going to be in everyone's home environment. And we have a shot at putting a...
So, Jobs is comparing automobile business back in the '83 to the system that he created, the Apple the Apple computer. And he's telling everyone that this machine that you cannot actually connect with, or you consider it just a machine that has color and staying in one of workplace or someone's house, is going to be part of a sharing economy, is going to be part of our education, our different ways of education, and it's going to be very, exactly to whatever we're sensing nowadays with mobiles. So he had a vision of iPad, of that airbrush software that he created, and how a 7-year-old would be like flawlessly playing along with this software. So softwares are not new. Softwares are crazy long time back, but people couldn't connect or didn't connect with it and didn't depend on it in a way that we're dependent nowadays because of Apple and Apple Vision. And by the way, we have one of the craziest Kuwaitis that we all call him Steve Jobs, is Khalid Zanki. He's my colleague and friend and mentor. He's going to be next later on. Don't miss his session. We go back to Khalid every now and then if we're hustling or struggling with any iOS systems. So we're going to go to the next slide. The next slide says that the next 10 years will be definitely, or defined, sorry, by those who do more than create. And the future lies in the hands of those who disrupt markets and industries. So we're back to disruption. If you disrupt an automobile business with a computer machine, you will always create, or you will always have a vision, and you will always stay there as long as technology takes you. But the question is that the next 10 years will happen to us or because of us. That's the question that everyone needs to ask themselves, or we need to ask ourselves. Is it because of us that's going to happen, or it's because of happen to us because of technology or whatever around us? So we need to ask these questions. Next. Speaking of disruption, this is a very interesting wheel of disruption. If you see the orange triangle, it speaks about the three main elements that's taking or engaging us nowadays. It's mobile, social, and real-time. If you know me very well, I've entered this conference Snapchatting. I've interviewed some of the faces that I don't know and the faces that I know. And this is who is Hind. And I'm a matter of relations. I make relations with everything I'm passionate about. First time I encounter something I want to know more about, I'm curious of. So this is somehow the bubble that I actually live with or in. And it's getting, if you take the first wheel, we're surrounded with apps, with big data, with a lot of geolocating, Foursquare and everything. We're messaging 24/7, whether on Twitter, on text and everything. Gamification. Who loves games here? Gamification is the next big thing. It's already something. But if you adopt it, just like this is a quick tip and an insight, gamification is entering business, is engaging with brands. Banks are using games. Beauty shops, H&Ms, are using games in order to engage the customers and in order to give rewards and all. And I'm sure you have passed with a couple of interesting examples. So games are huge nowadays. So the first wheel is a disruption, is a noise. The other wheel is wearable technologies, is payments, next pay. I saw them in the lobby, payments, online apps, and so on. Sharing. Sharing is what we do and live for nowadays. You share 24/7. And there's a very interesting insight about sharing, I keep saying, when it comes to social media. What is the science behind sharing and likes? Why we have people that cannot stop sharing online? There is a very interesting hormone releases in human brain when you post a picture on Instagram. And once you get likes, that hormone is called serotonin. It's the happiness hormone. And this is just the science behind social media likes. Serotonin makes you happy the more you get likes. And the more you get likes, you want to share more of what's happening to you. So if you didn't break that puzzle, what's happening with people are so much into themselves. It's this hormone that's taking place or takes place every now and then. You find the heart or a bubble comes out of a like. Never underestimate a like, because a like nowadays for Facebook is one of the biggest currencies all e-commerce and commerce and business people are looking at for monitoring and as a real currency online. Because it defines what you liked, it defines your relationship to something, to a picture, to a food, to a meal, to a recipe, to someone that you might actually realize or get to know. So we'll go back and forth with this Wheel of Fortune. It's very interesting, and it caught my attention. I wanted to share it with you today because this is where we intersect without ourselves knowing, or without, I mean, startups and businesses. Also, we're going to talk about how actually they want to solve problems in the market, being an entrepreneur. And from there, you're talking about having all these channels in mind and thinking of a strategy for each and every. Next, please. Who ever thought that we're going to have a selfie movement? Who ever thought that a pope will be smiling in a selfie picture? A selfie movement is just a way of an epidemic or a very interesting phenomena that was created because of the ability to share, the possibility to take a picture, the exact release of that hormone whenever you post that picture and tag those people and give them that interesting, happy feeling or sharing that moment. So real time is the secret of Snapchat. If everyone is asking, what is the secret of Snapchat? And we're going to view a very nice local celebrity on Snapchat at the end of this keynote. And it's a very nice ABC basics of how to use Snapchat or how Snapchat is for him. So when it comes to real time, it's disrupting everyone's plans. Real time is something that you cannot live without, because if you're not doing it, everyone around you is doing it. I was shouting at the command center crew before I show up to have my mic. They were all connected on their mobiles. And I was like, I need the mic. And they were like on texting and sharing. And they were smiling as well, and they heard me. You cannot disrupt a connected customer. A connected customer for marketeers, let's say, most of us are marketeers here. The most expensive currency online or nowadays is attention. And raise your hand if you agree on that. If you believe that your attention is really value that you cannot break or you cannot put a strategy around, or you don't know how to have a Snapchat plan for your real-time event or whatever is happening, you just want to share. You don't know how to cap on that because it's timeless. It's something that stays there for 10 seconds and moves. So next. Also, this is one of the very interesting way of expressing social media and what's happening online. They call it nowadays the ecosystem. The ecosystem is all about me on YouTube, on Gmail, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and all of the above. Imagine yourself as a brand. It's so restless to actually make content for each and every platform. I struggle myself. I need to do content for YouTube, and I need to actually share 140 characters message on Twitter, and a very nice video that can go on Facebook and YouTube, but a different picture on Instagram and a different fancy picture on Pinterest. I actually don't have to. And a very smart article on LinkedIn, just so LinkedIn doesn't. I believe that it's becoming so real that the ecosystem is taking over us rather than us making it more of an ecosystem, a collaborative system, a shared economy system. I started off as, thanks for clapping. I started off by saying, I'm a collaborative by heart. And people think I'm crazy. But when it's said and done, I believe people maybe will understand this 3 or 4 years from now. And an ecosystem is a system that has win-win situation. It won't never break. It's not a one on many. It's many-to-many system. We're going to have a quick analysis. Next. What is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a system that has centralized data on you or on a brand, a scheduled on the brand time or my time, where an ecosystem is distributed and it's on real time on my time. All invented inside. When it comes to the ecosystem, it's I invented these things, where an ecosystem invented anywhere. Ecosystems has owned and closed data. Ecosystem has shared and open data. Hyper competition. You always have competition with your own self, how to get this done, how to get this better. On ecosystem, you engage on hyper collaboration. On ecosystem, it's more of a pyramid, as we see here. On ecosystem, it's more of a node, each and every. Spend and trash, use and renew. That's a renewable energy. That's a renewable sharing, like content, like benefits, like win-win situation, like energy, you name it. On ecosystems, it's one way, one to many, as we mentioned, two way, many to many. And it just goes on. So what do you think of this like comparison? It just tells a brand that in social media, my language, you're not supposed to be just sharing because of sharing. If you share, you need to care, you need to have relations with one another. You need to actually, because if you care, and this is who we are as humans, offline, if I step up to Yasmin or Razak and tell them, I love what you're doing, and I think if you do it this way, it will get someone else's attention from my own point of view. He knows that I connected with the brand and with the way he thought and way he put it. And he always feel that I have actually connected with care. I didn't just commented on that or I just passed that. Why? Next. Because people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Always make them feel good, make them feel, even online, the currency online of connecting with one another is basically looking at feelings and relations. My handle online, ever since I went online, because of public relations, my career, is Hind Relations. Why Hind Relations? Because this is how I feel, and I want to be positioned, and I represent myself. I'm a matter of a lot of relations, not one-to-one, I'm one-to-many. So that's the secret of success, and it's care and feelings. Next. We're going to watch a quick clip by Altimeter done with LinkedIn. It's a quick view on 6 elements why you have to have your brand social and why you have to have and embrace social media in your...
In business, relationships matter. So invest in them. Relationship economics dictates that when businesses value people, experiences, and aspirations, they reap benefits measured in profitability, loyalty, and advocacy. LinkedIn partnered with leading technology analyst Altimeter Group to study just that, the effect that engaging social media strategies have on employee and customer engagement. Together, they surveyed more than 1,000 employees to better understand the impact of social engagement on employee and customer relationships, morale, and perspective. The results were enlightening. They found that socially engaged companies, those that use social media to more effectively communicate and engage employees, are 40% more likely to be perceived as more competitive, 57% more likely to get increased sales leads, and 58% more likely to attract top talent. This has a positive effect on employees too. How so? Employees at socially engaged companies are 27% more likely to feel optimistic about their company's future, 20% more likely to feel inspired, 20% more likely to stay at their company, and 15% more likely to feel connected to coworkers beyond their core teams. Finally, Altimeter and LinkedIn learned that socially engaged companies start with engaged leaders. They are 52% more likely to actively create, curate, and share content, 50% more likely to actively encourage employee use of professional social media, and 37% more likely to be active in building relationships using professional social media. Altimeter and LinkedIn didn't stop there. They studied the best practices of socially engaged companies to help you improve employee and customer engagement and came up with the following 10 steps to become a socially engaged company. Step 1. Conduct an internal audit to determine how employees are currently using social networks to inform your company's investments. Step 2. Broaden your definition of social. Consider a more integrated approach to your social media strategy, including areas like technology platforms, listening, and building a community. Step 3. Think holistically. Social media is made up of channels for specific purposes that must roll up to a more significant business charter and vision. Step 4. Test and learn. Run pilot tests to determine benefits and viability, then communicate findings to the broader team. Step 5. Create engaging, shareable content. Keep the audience in mind every time. Generate content that's informative, entertaining, useful, and shareable. Step 6. Keep a rhythm. Stay present, but don't saturate. Find a solid rhythm. Step 7. Don't just sell and market. Make sure that you stagger your content so that you give more than you ask. Step 8. Balanced owned and paid. Consider using native advertising options for lead generation and recruitment to reach beyond your existing audience. Step 9. Think globally, but act locally. Geo-specific content gets employees and customers' attention because they can see themselves in the content. And finally, Step 10. Scale across key functions. Those who find success scale social media across the organization to improve employee engagement, recruiting, sales, and marketing. Relationship economics can help your company develop customer loyalty, become more competitive, and ultimately more profitable. To learn more from the top socially engaged companies, download Altimeter Group and LinkedIn's report at altimetergroup.com.
So it's very interesting 10 main points that everyone really needs to focus on when it comes to why relationship actually matters, why companies need to audit how their employees are actually engaging, what are their interests, what they're doing offline, what they're doing during. Just like tapping on new customers comes within your own company employees. That's what I believe. So next slide. These are the 7 success factors of social business strategies. You need to actually, there's where it comes to the social hub. You need to have at your corporation or your brand a social hub that focuses or always looking at the goals, what are the vision, the support, the strategy, the guidelines, staff, and then invest in that. These are really important for a social media department or a section within a marketing department or public relation or a separate social hub. I'm gonna go quickly. Next. So just putting it in a way that social, when it comes to your relationship online, shouldn't be about width, about making money, always pushing to the customer what you want to sell. It's about scaling. It's about the depth where you do the relations one-on-one, getting back to the customer, replying to any issues, thumbsing up for embracing your brand somewhere on any platform. So social is about depth, it's not about selling. So the more you invest in your social relations, the more you will get eventually sales. Next. A cool story I'm going to be going through when it comes to a social media internal example, an example on internal direction where it comes to a 450 group of company in the States wanted to shortcut their communication with their customers, with their employers, and their employers are chefs, recipe makers, creative recipe makers, in order to come up with a new look and feel for the brand. They utilized or they used Facebook in order to quickly connect and quickly get the insights from the customers, and from there they can have new products, they can have a momentum with how they can create their new direction. So it was succeeding, so never underestimate why Facebook is very important as a platform to support and to help you out across all the emails and normal channels what we used to use eventually. So next. Another example of impact of shared economy on travel business, I'm sure we all know Airbnb. Airbnb has a very interesting, let's say, shareable direction where you share your experience on a certain location, you share that geolocation, and you recommend it on that platform or application. This is the shared economy that I wanted to move from social, because it's not just digital economy, it's not just social economy. What's coming with startups and small businesses is shareable economy. Shareable is basically having you sharing a spot that you have and own, or an item that you have and own, whether as an individual or as a company, with masses that might want to actually rent it or use it for a frequent cost, a very small cost. So I see Khalid waving. I still have a couple of slides, if you bear with me. So sharing is the new buying, as I was explaining. Why sharing is the new buying? Because you really need to look at this guy, interesting honeybee infographic that I'm going to share with you. This guy is Jeremiah Ouyang, and Jeremiah sees one peer-to-peer connection. And that will be in the next slide, please. The new social economy, or the one-on-one economy, is basically peer-sharing startups when it comes to a service that we, for example, own or have a photography or a car rental or a booth or an office where everyone can come in and rent it and share it or collaborate on renting it. And it goes on using those products and services with consumers, and the consumers would always provide your products and services to the peer-shared startup. So it's a closed circle where long time ago, or the old economy, it used to be traditional business, providing products and services on platforms and from these platforms to consumers. So this closed circle is very convenient and economic moving forward in our life. Next. So this is the cute collaborative economy honeycomb. I highly advise you to check it out. He broke down this honeycomb into goods, food, services, space, and do you know the application that's called Boxit? Boxit is one of those startups or applications that fall under this honeycomb or this infographic. Why? Because it's basically empowering, yeah? All right, so I have 2 more slides. Empowered people to basically use each and every service and crossing those services when it comes to shared economy. So each and everyone would actually cross a food app towards a service app and vice versa, and there's a lot of examples. So I see people taking pictures. I'll keep that for a while. Sharing a space, that's what it is, an example that I gave you on earlier. This guy was talking about an example where if you have a garage full of stuff and you want it to let out as goods, and you really want to make money out of those goods, so all you have to do is to jump into a collaborative startup space, or you make your own space and platform and start asking people as Airbnb when it comes to space or when it comes to rooms and etc. So this is where we're heading nowadays. We're heading towards a shared economy direction. People doesn't want to pay a lot on hotels or on even shared space in offices. It's shared desk is trending in Europe. Shared desk is like if you want to help a startup, or if you want to help someone that actually intern that doesn't have the Wi-Fi or a desk, they can learn and benefit from you with a shared desk economy or concept. So this is where we're going, and this is why I'm here today to share with you why we need to think of how to have an ecosystem rather than just a social one-on-one, just selling and just moving on from a startup or making business. We need to actually solve a problem in the community and within an economy that's killing us day by day, year by year. You need to think smart. You need to know how to actually benefit from this number of people that's connected 24/7. Next. The connected generation, the generation C is the next generation, is the generation that actually will make you or break you. So that's my bottom line. Make use of the connected customer. Always think together. Don't think one-on-one. And 2 books I would recommend in this area is The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. Next slide. And The Intention Economy, one of the 2 best books I've read, and I highly recommend. And that's it. If you want to follow me, I'm Hind Relations. This is my barcode. I'm the president of Social Media Club and the founder of sociallobby.com. Thank you so much.